Welcome, Atlanta United family, to another episode of Resurge despite ATL. Here with my boy Tommy once again. MLS is officially back. Week one is officially done. What are your thoughts
Atlanta
about?
United is back. We're
Yeah.
back. We're
What does it
back.
feel like? What's a good word, to phrase what the 3 points were like for Atlanta United this weekend.
Depth. I think depth is the best word for this week. This wasn't our starting lineup. I mean, this isn't going to be our starting lineup, and hopefully, I mean, it sounds like we're going to see something very similar this week, but after next week, I mean, we should probably be seeing a lot of guys come back, right? I mean, Sadich, played. I mean, we still had Tyler Wolf, George Campbell. Like, these are guys that probably don't normally see the lineup, right? And they came in, and despite what we saw in the preseason, which we saw a lot of turnovers in that midfield, and in the few of the games that they did play together, they look great. They had no issues. They were able to move the ball forward, which is what we wanted to see. They looked great on the counter, and a few of those goals came from that, right? And unfortunately, I mean, the biggest news of the game was Aruju, scoring the goal. Fantastic chip, better pass. I mean, chip was great, but the pass from Joseph reminded me of that Bello flick that he did to Barco in Columbus. It reminded me just of that, but I mean, what a perfect shot by Aruju. And, I was all the way up in section 300, so I had no idea what was going on. Then, you see him, down, a couple of minutes later, and, that was worrisome. And, luckily, what they've already said, it's probably about a 4-week injury, probably a little bit longer. I would assume they're not going to rush him back, but it's exciting. Like, everything looked great, but, Aruju goes down, and then you see Dom Dwyer, right, warm it up, and I was like, oh God, this is where we're at. This is our Kubo moment. We're gonna start yelling about Dom, being Kubo. And I mean, when's the last time you saw a guy come off the bench and that wasn't a normal starter? Obviously a starter starting on the bench and coming in. This was the backup coming in and scoring a goal. Adam John, wasn't doing that. Kubo wasn't doing that. Jurgen Damm definitely wasn't doing that. And here we are, and Dom Dwyer gets a great pass by Joseph, and scores a goal. I mean, with his left foot. Like, that was just fantastic. It was great to see.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, honestly, I mean, it's just the first game of the season, but you really saw a lot of positive things, for Atlanta United, that you would want to see, in the first game of the season, especially, with the high pressure, and, like you said, a lot of goals came off of that. Well, like 2 goals came off of that, basically. And that's something that obviously you want to see, with the type of players that Atlanta has. They have the ability, to press high and be able to, create those spaces, and basically get, an advantage, when it comes to having people on, on offense. But like I said, it's the first game of the season. There was a couple of mistakes. I mean, for me, like the first 30 minutes of the first half, it was pretty sloppy, on both teams. Once it started, getting, everything settled down, like the nerves of the game, the first game of the season, I feel like everything, just started going, for Atlanta United's way. Like you said, with Araujo, honestly, I don't feel like it's gonna be a problem with him being out. You said the depth, is something that it's important for Atlanta, this season. You got US Open Cup, MLS is a long season, you got
Schedule's
injuries and
easy.
stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, like that's why I said Araujo's, injury shouldn't be, too meaningful, this, period, or this part of the season, because like you feel like Atlanta's got a pretty easy schedule to work with, but after when it comes, I think we talked about this before. I think like after August or so, I mean, you got basically like all the top teams to face.
March and April are very doable.
Yeah.
It's a very easy start to season, and like you're lucky, there's an international break coming up. Like, I think we go 3 weeks in, it's either 3 or 4 weeks in, and then we go to the international break for a week and a half. So, I think that'll give time. I mean, maybe Aruju could come back before then, but you really don't need to hurry him because you don't have that tough of a schedule early on where, Tyler Wolf, Brooks Lennon. I mean, these are guys that can easily jump in and play on the wing and hopefully help out. And I mean, we talk about the who came in. I mean, Dom looked great, but when was the last time you saw all these guys come in? Brooks Lennon looked fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean,
Moreno looked pretty good, man. I mean, Caleb
he
Wiley.
did.
I mean, he came in there and scored a goal. I mean, both of them, Moreno and combined, and Wiley combined for that third goal. I mean, they came in there on fire, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, when Moreno came in, did he come in right after? It came after the goal, right? Like they were down. It was 2-1 at that point, I
Yeah,
think,
it
when
was
they
two
came
one.
in.
Yeah, yeah,
You needed a change of pace, and I wasn't sure what Moreno. I was shocked, to be honest with you, to see that those guys were making an appearance because Moreno hadn't played all preseason. So,
yeah,
but there was a picture of him, like he immediately took his boot off after the game, like
yeah,
took his cleats off. So probably something still a little bit to worry about. But he came in and he controlled the midfield, and he's good there. Unfortunately, we got to because of our positioning and who we have, he's been playing a lot on the wing. But him playing in midfield was great, and he controlled it. And then he just saw uh, Wiley open and got it to him right away. And I mean, what a finish there by him! It was fun to see. 100%. But I mean, we haven't even talked about the man of the match yet, which in my opinion was Gutman.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
dude. Yeah, that man. Honestly, man, I'm impressed, man. I really don't pay attention as much. Honestly, one because with things that I got going on and stuff like that. Mostly, I only watch, like the teams that I really, really do follow. Obviously, Atlanta United, but I didn't really follow New York, and stuff like that. And he was there last year, and I didn't really know what his performance or what he's been playing like. But honestly, man, even when I said this been preseason, but that's preseason. But I mean, he's been playing. I mean, for that badge, honestly. I mean, I feel like, he's the type of players that, that any club needs, like every club needs basically, that's like, I don't remember exactly what minute it was, but I'm pretty sure you remember what I'm talking about. There was this one play where, I mean, he just balled it out. I mean, literally threw himself to the ball, and then like, he ended up in the ground, and like everybody just started chanting, clapping, I mean, that's the type of like things that you especially from a defensive player, you basically just being bossy, being that player that is willing to put his body on the line. That's something that the fans like to see, and obviously the team itself, like I feel like feeds off of that energy. That they're like, all right, this guy is putting 110%. Like why let's step it up. And I feel like like you said, Andrew was up there. Like he really was. Him and Joseph, I feel like were the top two main guys in that game against Kansas.
yeah, I mean, the ball guys. Besides Guzan, I'm still not a huge fan of Guzan anymore. But Alonso also was fantastic in
Mm-hmm.
the midfield, and if you're very far down the line, but if you're going into a playoff game, there's no doubt in my mind. I mean, we'll see what happens with Sosa, and how when he comes back, how effective he could be. But to be honest with you, if I'm going into a playoff game against a veteran team, I don't know how you could keep Alonso out of the lineup. I mean, he could be a great sub at the end of the game to help close out, but like Alonso, I mean, he just shows his veteran presence out there, and he doesn't get he had a questionable tackle where like it was like an orange card for sure, where I was like, I don't know what they're gonna call this, but I mean it was definitely something close. But he's a veteran, so sometimes they'll get those calls. But I thought Alonso looked fantastic, and having someone like Gutman out there, who's he's been around the league, and he played for Cincinnati, right? He went from Cincinnati to Red Bulls, and then over to back to us. I mean, he's doing a great job, and I think just overall, I mean, it's amazing what this squad looks like right now without your normal starters coming in. I mean, it looks like we're going to still be without everybody that we didn't have. Maybe we have a chance to see more of Lennon or Moreno. Um, but I mean, let's think about the Charlotte game in a couple of weeks. I mean, who knows if Sosa will be ready? We don't know the status of Ibarra, but I mean, they just boarded a
Almada,
plane
we
today.
still don't know about. Yeah.
Almada should, you'd have to assume that Almada is going to be back, be ready, probably be waiting for them when they get back from Colorado. That would be my assumption, just because, I mean, it can't be going much longer. From what Darren Neal said, it was going to be figured out by Sunday, and so it's Thursday already. So I would assume that maybe he's just packing his stuff up and heading out, this weekend. That would be my guess. So I would assume Almada will be available for the Charlotte game next Sunday, which will be another huge, game for this club and the rivalry that's going to soon start here. But I mean, you start bringing these guys in, I mean, just adding Almada into this team and Moreno and Lennon, it's going to be something really fun to watch. And then we just wait for Araujo, which fine, let's let the guy heal. And who knows with Hyman? I know I was talking with some other fans, and Hyman wasn't at practice, and someone like he posted, he was in tennis shoes somewhere that wasn't at practice. So who knows what's going on with Hyman right now? But we're deep. We're doing well. We get Franco back, right? So
Yeah.
Franco will probably 100% be starting on Saturday. So I mean, what else can you ask for right now? Like this is hope. This is what hope feels like, right? Like we haven't had
Yeah,
this in a
exactly.
long time. I
Like
mean,
you
with
said, I
West,
mean, like exactly what you said, depth is the key, for Atlanta, this season. The fact that we don't have to rely on one or two players, to um, create, basically scoring opportunities. I mean, we got all these guys out, and yet again, we still put up 3 goals against, in my opinion, one of the best teams in the Western Conference. Now going into the next game, Colorado, I mean, they lost 3-0 against LAFC this past weekend, hat trick from Carlos Vela. W- it's supposed to be like a snow game or whatever. I don't know. Hopefully it's not like too severe of weather, but I really don't hope that, it turns out to it turns out, to one of those games that, is just basically by like a mistake or like, some irrelevant mistake, that ends up deciding the game.
yeah. I mean, they've been okay. I mean, Colorado's started the season horrible. They lost in Champions League, and now they've been struggling here, and I don't know. I think we should win this game. I know they've lost some depth in the offseason. What we got here?
Yeah, we got Percy Herrera is saying, do y'all think this team is building to only create chances in transition or to possess the ball and create through positional play and numbers going forward? In my opinion, honestly, it really depends on the team that you're playing. I mean, you're not gonna, try to possess the ball as much, against teams that are gonna pressure you high and try to win the ball back and like high up the pitch. it really just depends on who you're playing. I mean, you're not gonna want to be playing out the back when you got 4 or 5 players, basically pressuring you. So that's what about you, Tony? You think that Pineda's trying to establish that possession game, or is more of a vertical
He wanted
game?
the transitional play. That's what he said in his post game on Tuesday. Like, he set himself up that way, and he said it on Thursday too. So, like, I think that Sporting Kansas City knew what Atlanta wanted to do, still fell into the trap, and it still worked. And from what Pineda said, he wants to be able to have different ways of winning games. And if you look back at some of the coaches that we've had, you look at Tata, and he was very stubborn, right? Early on. And it was until he changed how we played in the playoffs that's when we won MLS Cup, right? Like, he had to change it. He was giving them the ball where he constantly wanted the ball. So, he changed. Well, then Frank DeBoer came in, and he didn't change anything. I mean, Frank actually said, like, I don't watch MLS. Bad sign. And 2, like, he didn't scout teams prior. And that was something that Tata did. So they weren't changing the style of play no matter what opponent they played. And they lost a lot because of that. And then Heinze, I mean, he was very stubborn on his ways. His players were getting worn out early on, and he didn't care, it seemed. So, you didn't have that. And then after Heinze, I mean, it was just, kind of do what you want. Let's just play forward, and no real strategic planning. Well, Pineda knows MLS. He's been in MLS for a long time. And I think that's the strength of this coach compared to all the other ones that we have. Tata did a lot of studying of the league prior to, but like, Pineda has lived in this league. He's lived on it as a player, and he's lived on it as a coach. So he knows players' tendencies. Sporting KC, they played every single year. So he, twice. So I think he knows how that style is. So, this is what we wanted. We wanted a guy that came in that knew MLS, and we've got that guy now. And that's what's going to be really interesting to see for the rest of the season. Can he continue, picking these teams apart, figuring out what they're about, and being able to change the tactics for it? And I wouldn't trust anybody else right now, for that position. I think that he's really the guy that's going to help us, get some of these wins that probably under some of these other coaches we wouldn't get.
Yeah. I mean, it's really, like you said, I mean, it comes down to like having to like really know who you're playing. I mean, playing against teams that, like I said, are going to pressure you high is really, really, really honestly difficult. And I mean, we struggled honestly with New York, with both New York teams. And I feel like that's going to be the biggest challenge for Pineda and the team, going forward this season is, whenever you're playing teams like that, basically figuring out, a different way to, basically get the ball forward. I feel like we got skilled enough players, Miles Robinson, Alan Franco, Gutman, Brooks Lennon. I feel like they're very, very skilled when it comes to like playing the long ball in between the lines, and I feel that's something that is going to help Atlanta. I mean, we even saw Joseph, playing basically like as a number 10, feeding Dom in that second goal.
2 assists.
Yeah, I mean, plays like that is what I feel like Atlanta needed in some certain points last year, and they just didn't really have that. They didn't have like a variety of attacking or different options basically to attack, and now you have that. And I mean, we don't even have a full team, and yet again you see like different types of offensive styles that basically Atlanta can play. And you just, in my opinion, like I said, I really want to see that how they're able to figure that out against these top teams.
Well, I know Anthony's talking about here about we got to push the ball forward, and our defense was always suspect. And I don't know if that's the case. I definitely think that last year that closing games out was a major part of our game. I mean, we couldn't close it out. We were either allowed the game-winning goal or a game-tying goal in the last 5 minutes at least 3 or 4 times in the regular season. But our defense is definitely a team effort, and we really didn't have that guy last year in the midfield that was able to help out the defense, right? And Sosa did a good job of it early on, but obviously he was hurt. I mean, he really played hurt even when he came back from his injury. So, and George Campbell would come in sometimes and, almost play the
That's weird.
midfield. This year, I know Campbell. I think I'm back.
Sure.
Okay, well, I'll just talk. Can people hear me?
Yeah, I'm able to hear you. I don't know. You just froze for a little bit, but yeah, I'm able to hear you.
Oh, sorry. Well, I'll turn off the thing and see if that helps.
You're still freezing up, dude. I don't know why. That's kind of weird. That's never really happened before. Hmm. I don't think it's on my end. I don't think it is. If not, I'll be lagging too. That's weird. Hopefully we get him back soon. That's weird. Well, guys, comment your basically takes on what you thought about this game this week, and what are your opinions coming up in the couple of games that we have in the stretch, against Colorado and Charlotte. There you go. Yeah, I was wondering, man, what I was wondering, like, that was weird. You just lacked out of nowhere, like just froze.
My Wi-Fi sucks. But I was saying, like, yeah, like our whole defensive like midfield, it was just nobody was helping out Miles Robinson. Like, I worried about them last year because there were points where they looked bad, but Bello wasn't very good defensively back there. Lennon did a decent job, but Bello was always a weakness on the side as far as the defensive side, and then you had nobody in the midfield. So it was really Miles, and Franco really struggled early on, like in the season. Like when he came on, I was very worried about him overall and like how he was going to fit into this team. And then he fit in fantastic towards the end of the year. I really thought that he, got used to the league and was able to move forward. But since that point, I think that we've really figured it out with Alonso, and hopefully we'll see Franco here. But Gutman is something that we missed. I think we missed a lot, and I think that he's going to be a big part of the defensive side of this team, being able to stop that, those balls coming in on that side, not making it easy for them. So, I think that you're going to probably see a lot more clean sheets this season because they're going to work as a unit. And we'll see what happens to Sosa. As long as Alonso can stay healthy, I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah, we got Anthony Hernandez saying over here, good player movement and ball movement. Plus, I think we that our defense looks pretty good, and we should have somebody really help Joseph. I feel like that help is gonna arrive once Joseph doesn't have to come back and play as much in the midfield, and basically have to contribute with the play as we saw that this past weekend basically. Hopefully that changes once Almada comes in and players like Moreno, and obviously once Araujo comes in, back. Then I feel like Joseph is gonna be like the target man basically, but we didn't have really that playmaker this past weekend, so that's why we really saw him basically being the one to steer the ship basically.
A false 10, like
Yeah.
basically was playing like a false 10.
Yeah.
there. I see Josh here talking about, bad passes from Campbell. Um, and that's a little concerning, but my biggest concern is the passes by Guzan. Lord
Oh
Almighty,
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
understand how he's getting worse. Every year it seems like these passes are going more and more just straight out of bounds, almost every time. And the funny part is, like, I went back and watched the game the other day, and they zoom in on him after all these kicks, and he just looks perturbed. Like somehow everybody else like used their mental powers to get that ball to go out of bounds, and it's not his fault. Like he cannot handle that ball at all, and that is extremely stressful. Every once in a while, he has a genius pass that goes, 30 yards, 30, 40 yards, and it gets somebody that's wide open, and they go right down the side. But I'll take 9 out of 10. It's going the hell out of bounds, and nobody's touching that ball. Um, it's definitely stressful.
yeah. I
For
mean,
sure.
there was even one that I remember in the first half where I mean, it almost ended up. I thought it was gonna go like on goal. And it ended up like deflecting off of one of the Sporting Kansas players. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, that was a dangerous play.
I mean, what we have, I think, 2 years left on the Guzan contract. So, I mean, they're going to keep him around. I think that no matter what happens, unless he completely comes into the worst goaltender in the league. And last year, he definitely had some problems, but he definitely had a long stretch where he was keeping us in games, 100%. So it's early in the season for sure, but I think that maybe if he just stops blaming everybody else, maybe he'll, maybe start taking responsibility for his own actions. But they definitely need to move the ball out a little bit better, and
Yeah.
maybe it's just Guzan just passing it to anybody else, just closer to him, as opposed to booting it every single time and just giving up possession.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like we said, I mean, we were just talking about it. I mean, you really got to learn or got to know when, to basically be playing it out the back. I mean, they've got a skill enough players, but there's just times where I mean, the opposition is just really suffocating you with that pressure. I mean, there's teams where or certain situations. I mean, say it comes to uh decision day, and you over here fighting for a playoff spot, you're gonna have teams that are gonna be basically pressuring you up high, wanting, to basically what like off a mistake, try to get something. And Atlanta United, like, I feel like it's got many options to where they don't they shouldn't struggle with that, with having to just play with one certain style or having to, do things just one certain way. I mean, that's the key here. I mean, especially there's what US Open Cup. Now we have the Leagues Cup coming up next year. Uh but now let's start discussing a little bit more into the Colorado game. What do you think about? I mean, you see Colorado, giving Atlanta United a challenge, being a team that is gonna try to be in the front foot or what?
I mean, they got knocked out of Champions League. They got embarrassed in their first game of the season. Uh, they're going to try hard. I know that. I definitely think that they're going to try to do whatever they can to at least get a result. So, my I wouldn't be surprised if it was like a 1-1 game. Um, we'll see how the teams respond to the weather. Colorado's obviously used to it, but uh, you know, breathing that Colorado air, the high altitude air, isn't always easy. So I don't know how many of these guys have actually played out there, but at least I know in hockey, when hockey players are going out to play the Colorado Avalanche, it's definitely a struggle, and they get breaks. You get to do different shifts, and soccer you do not. So it'll be interesting to see how the players, you know, handle it, and the cold weather. I mean, if it's going to snow, bring on the orange ball. That's like the most exciting thing for me. I love it. I love snow games. I love snow football games. I love outdoor snow games for hockey. I just love snow. So I'm ready for this. I'm ready to enjoy this. Probably our only shot, unless there's some crazy MLS playoff game with snow in it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, you feel like Atlanta, is in a very good position, honestly. These next games, then going into the next couple of games, what do you think about that Charlotte rivalry? I mean, I wanna have your take on that. What? Not a rivalry because I mean we haven't even played a single minute against them, but there seems to be a lot of heat, man. There's a lot of heat in the air between the two fan bases.
I mean, they've sold 72,000 tickets. So that's
Yeah,
awesome. So they're probably going to break the record for most, fans at a game. I saw that they've copied what we do with the Falcon and put the scarf over it. Now they're putting over that stupid Panther, putting the scarf over the Panther.
yeah.
I mean, it's good for MLS if Atlanta United can get a decent rival. And I know Orlando's beat us recently, and uh, it's still not. I don't know. I don't count the last 2 years for anything. I know Orlando won, but like, if nobody's there, does it really matter? Um, so
The
I
Mickey
think
Mouse,
back
the
to this
Mickey
year.
Mouse Cup.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to see what it'd be good for Charlotte and Atlanta to start getting some quick games in here where it's a tough game, and they're close and they're exciting because I think Atlanta needs a rival. I mean, we had the Red Bulls, early on. I thought that they were one of our big rivals for a while, just because we played. We still haven't beat them in the regular season, right? I think the only time we've ever beat them is in the playoffs. Philly has kind of become a rival after
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
craziness to happen, and they called our coach an asshole, which obviously we found out later he was an asshole. Uh, but yeah, it's going to be fun to see another team because we thought we were going to get that with Nashville, right? Everybody was like, Nashville's the new rival of Atlanta. Well, they're in the West already, so that's gone. Orlando, we'll see what happens here. Orlando's, getting competitive. It seems like they're trying as much as they can to move away from their old model of just signing old washed up dudes. So, they're starting to sign some younger guys. So now it just leaves Charlotte. And I mean, they basically said that their team's a mess, right?
Yeah.
So they did score a goal, and I think it was taken away. I remember, I think they played on Saturday, and I got like an alert that Charlotte scored their first goal. And then I went back later to look, and they were down 3-0. So obviously, I think they got it taken away. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's good for MLS if this team becomes good quickly, but I just don't see it. I with the way you look at the roster, it's not good, and it's going to be a while.
That's
Yeah,
it. Josh says based on a lot of MLS fans, everybody hates us and we're everybody's rivals.
I mean,
Uh,
we're obnoxious online, but it's not like obnoxious. It's just there's so many of us. Like I think that if you took like the three combined like top Twitter's followers for like in the league, they don't even equal like what we equal. So like we're a big club. Like everybody hates Manchester United fans because there's so many of them, and
yeah.
they talk so much shit. Like the only thing that we don't have, like what a lot of these teams, like the Dallas Cowboys, like Dallas Cowboy fans, everybody hates the Cowboys. Everybody hates the Ohio State
We don't
Buckeyes.
have plastic fans. That's what we don't have.
Yeah, but like they hate them because they go and they talk about how great they were in the past and things like that. And like we
Yeah.
barely have a past. I mean, we won a championship. We've won a couple other trophies. It's great, but I think that people hate us because we have the money. Like we have an owner that's dedicated. And people talk crap about our stadium. That's a football stadium. Blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah. But look at the attendance. Like take the top three. It was either like if you took the top 2 or 3 attendances for this weekend and combined it, it still doesn't equal what Atlanta had at the Benz. Like, and it was just great. And from an out of town perspective, and I haven't been, you know, to a game in 3 years. Like, it just felt back. Like, you watch it on TV. So I watch all these games on television, and the fans just, they really weren't into it because I don't think they really believed in the team. And I think COVID definitely, hurt the fan base in general. But this really felt back. Like, we really felt like the whole crowd was into it from the start of the game, all the way to the end. The chants were going, the crowd was, I mean, it felt like, nobody wanted to leave their seat, throughout the game. It was exciting, and it's just great to be back.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely did feel like, different from especially, the middle part and the beginning of the season last year. I mean, I remember being there for a couple of games, and I don't know, it just yeah, you hear the chants and everything, but it just wasn't the same vibe. But now definitely, you feel like there's, you see like the team being a little bit more upbeat, and that you know, basically, gives the crowd a little bit more, to basically want to chant for it. We have Percy Herrera saying Charlotte will break the record. I think they sold 73,500 from the last report.
But it won't look like it. I mean, Atlanta does the same thing though. Like, there's times where it says they have 60,000 fans, and it looks like it's 40. Like, they go by tickets sold, but I don't know. I mean, whatever. If they set the record, cool. Are they working on their own stadium though? Is that something that they're going to try, or are they just gonna stick to that
I
stadium?
really haven't heard anything. I doubt it though, because I know that they actually renewed the Bank of America Stadium, to, basically be like a soccer slash, football stadium as well. They did some work on that. So I don't see it, at least in the near future. I know a lot of guys on here, that are watching us as well, have had opinions as well about, Atlanta United having their, soccer specific stadium. Um,
We
I
don't
don't
need
know,
it.
man.
I don't
I
think we
don't
need it.
think, yeah.
The turf does worry me, and I'll just tell you that because I'm a Falcons fan, and I've watched a lot of guys that just randomly make the wrong step on that field, and it ends their season. So I do get nervous about that on occasion. And when you see a non-contact injury like Aruju, right? Like,
Mm,
it happened before, like, he chipped it over. Like, those are the type of injuries where you're like, they're either out for a month or they're out for 365 days. Which one are
mm.
we going to get? And thank God. I mean, like, I just waited like every day. I was just like, let's get an update. Let's get an update. He looked like he was in tears when they showed the replay. And then you watched him specifically, like they had him on the Tron, and like they were helping him walk down the stairs to go congratulate the rest of the players. It's like, okay, like he's moving a little bit. That's a good sign. But
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, it's good to see.
yeah, I was down there in the tunnels after the game, and I mean, when the players walked in, I was actually, like you said, surprised that he was actually walking, by himself. That it wasn't, or that he was actually even out in the field. I thought they would have taken him to the back, got him checked out or something. But once the game ended, he just started walking back. He obviously was limping and stuff, but in pain. But obviously, once you're walking by yourself, there's some hope that is something not too serious. But we definitely got lucky with him, not missing, like you said, an entire year.
Did you see his leg? Did you see his Instagram?
Yeah, yeah,
That's
big old
gross.
bruise. Yeah,
Yeah, that was gross.
yeah, yeah. Well, man, like, we'll we just hope, man, that we have once summer start hitting. I just hope that we have basically squad ready, and the roster ready to we have the U.S. Open Cup, one around that time, once like summer starts hitting, and uh obviously MLS, and you just want to see a roster that's got options to work with. We don't have to
No,
be
no midweek games. I mean, that's like
yeah,
there's no
another thing.
midweek
Yeah,
games until late summer. So, as much as I love the midweek games and
there's
midweek
only two,
drinking,
right? If I'm not mistaken, there's
I
not
think there's
many.
3. I think there's 3 total this
Mm.
season, and like 2 of them are in like the last 2 weeks of the year. Uh, I mean, this is an opportunity, especially for guys like Joseph, Alonso, and I'm just talking about them because either injury history or age. I mean, Alonso's up there. Um, that you're able to, rest these guys because Joseph had trouble starting those midweek games after he played the weekend. And the other thing we got, just real quick, and I got to run here, but we've got open roster spots. We have that U22 spot still open.
Yeah,
So
I mean, we never, or I don't know if you had anything with that whole Dupoy
it's
thing. I
over.
mean,
It's done.
yeah, I
Yeah, I mean,
figured.
he's staying. So, you know, this might be the first time that we might go into the summer transfer window, unless something happens here, um, that we will have somebody that we'll be able to add. And I don't, I've always seen us add some minor guys. I mean, I know we got Moreno and Aruju, and the second window, but we sucked at that time. So does it really count? Like, hopefully, we're not sucking at this point, and we add somebody just to make this team better. And that's
Yeah.
what I want to see. Is I prefer to have this spot open because let's see what we need. I still think that if this roster, like even if we fix the midfield, Tyler Wolf coming in on wing is not what we need. I think we need some depth on wing, 100%, and we'll see what Brooks Lennon does here to help out. But you're probably seeing Wolf, in again, unless Moreno's going to be able to start. So I think someone that can actually has a history of scoring be able to come in a little bit more upside than Wolf. I think that's what we need. And I don't know if we still have one more spot open. I don't know if the Jurgen. I technically think we replaced the Jurgen Damm spot, which I think should be a lot of salary too. So you might actually have 2 spots open.
Yeah, I don't think his spots have been taken by any of the players that have came in,
No,
or
well,
there should have been. I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely, yeah. I remember last time we were on here, like you said, Santa came through.
yeah. That was my favorite tweet that I've done this year. My wife was asking me why I was putting the Dom jersey. It's actually still there. I left it there, but why I was like setting up cookies and milk, and my kids were confused. But it worked. The next day he was gone. So you're welcome, Atlanta. We're here for you.
All right, Tommy, man. Anything else? Honestly, you got to add before we head out.
No, I'm just excited for Batman and Colorado game this
Yeah,
weekend. Like those are the
yeah,
2 things
yeah.
that I'm gonna go see Batman tomorrow. Watch this Colorado
I'm pretty
game on
sure you're excited
Saturday.
about that Man City game too.
Yeah, that's an early morning. But yeah, my weekend
Uh,
is just packed. So
uh,
we'll be back next week, and we'll be talking about being 2-0, and then we'll be talking about going 3-0 against Charlotte.
yeah, definitely, dude. All right, well, Tommy and everybody, all the rest of the guys that have been here on the chat, commenting. Thank you, every single one of you. Share the content out. We're on social media here, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Share their content out. Thank you. Shout out to Mad Mike. He's one of the channels that we're on there now on YouTube. He gave us access, to share our content out on his channel. So shout outs to him, and like I said, thank you guys for your time, and Tommy, we'll see you next week, man.
Yeah, I guess if I could plug, if you don't mind, if anybody, Dirty South Soccer, after the games, I'm doing post game analysis. So if
Yeah,
you guys want to hop on,
I was on the one that y'all guys had on Sunday after the game. I was at Waffle House. I'm downtown getting something to eat. I was listening there to
by
you
the
guys.
aquarium.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, I was right over there. I was at the milkshake bar across the street because
Yeah.
I drank way too much. Tailgating was rough. But yeah, if anybody wants to hop on, we let people, give their thoughts. So after games, head over to Dirty South Soccer's Twitter page and come listen to us talk about the game.
Yeah, man. And yeah, definitely give us a follow, give Tommy a follow. And, we'll see you guys next time. Thank you, Tommy, for your time, man. I'll see you next week, man.
See you guys.
All right, dude.